Good morning. I'm Mark Allen with Gaber.io, and I'm here today with Shayna Skolnik, the founder and CEO of Navteca. Good afternoon. Shayna, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Mark. How are you?
Good. I'm glad you could join us today.
Thanks for having me.
It looks like you're in a hallway there, is it? Or is it just a very small room?
It's not a hallway due to remote work and sort of being forced into setting up an office in my bedroom. I'm actually between the bedroom and the bathroom, and these are the sort of the hallway connecting closets. So
Okay, you just told everyone it's a virtual background. They wouldn't know, right?
yeah, I could have put a virtual background, but I realized all the images I have on my computer of natural disasters, and maybe that
Oh,
wouldn't be the right tone.
see, this is my background is an actual picture last week for a sunset in my town. That I'm not there now, but it's actually about a mile from my house.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Let me
that's Foster
see.
City, California. I'll give Foster City a little
That's
plug.
beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got a hurricane, a forest fire. Oh, wait, actually, this is good. I have a sunset too. I'll do that.
Oh, very nice. We
That's
both
from
have some
Costa
water.
Rica. Yeah,
Wow.
that's
Cool.
actually a place in Costa Rica where Navteca did a virtual reality project. So that'll
Wow.
be a good background.
I think I'm going to have to go there. That looks really nice.
I
I'll tell
know
you what,
the owner of that property. Can put you
next
in touch.
podcast we do it live in Costa Rica. Sound good?
You're on. Sounds good.
So to start with, can you share a brief background of yourself and your work experience?
Sure, absolutely. So, as you mentioned, I'm the founder and CEO of Navteca. We're a small technology company located just outside Washington, D.C., and we work with a couple of different emerging technology and innovation areas, such as cloud computing, virtual and augmented reality, and artificial intelligence. And prior to founding Navteca, I had been doing a number of different things, working sort of for myself for a long time, doing graphic design, web and multimedia design, even working as an artist and an illustrator. I had done some teaching, so a lot of really different things. I kind of didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, and so it really all kind of came together through Navteca and becoming an entrepreneur. Because as a small business owner, you wear a lot of hats.
Yes, you do. Wow, you have quite a lot of talent there. That's a lot of, especially like the graphical stuff. That's actually much harder than people think. I assume you know Photoshop.
Yeah, I actually prefer Corel Draw just because I'm very artistic, and so I like having a bit more of the free reign. But yeah, I'm a very creative person, and it's been very exciting to bring it all together in a company where I can have lots of ideas and then hire people to do them.
That's great. So speaking of which, what has been your experience with remote employment, both as an employee and now an employer?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I've worked for myself for a long time. So I think I've probably always had some aspect of what I was doing, set with my own setup and working remotely. And then now as an employer at Navteca, I think we were actually a little bit ahead of the curve in terms of COVID because we actually closed our physical office in July of 2019. So, kind of at least 6 months before COVID had really started. And the reason for that was all of my employees were on site with clients or they were working remotely. And that was something that we were already offering as a benefit to our employees, was to be able to do that. And so it's been a very natural transition for us. It's a little bit extreme, of course, now that you can't really meet with people in person and attend conferences and things the way that we used to. But overall, it's been a positive experience.
Yeah. And was your office outside of DC?
Yes, it was in Greenbelt. I mentioned NASA, so it's just up the road from NASA Goddard Space Flight Center, which seemed like a convenient place to be. And it was a good location, but we found that by and large, our clients wanted to meet in person at one of the NASA centers. And
Mm.
so, we weren't using the office as much. So every now and then we'd have people come by for a virtual reality demo, or, sometimes like press. We were lucky enough to be featured by different television and newspaper and that sort of thing, so it's good to have a location in that sense. But other than that, we really felt like it was just becoming more of an expensive PO box than
Hmm.
anything else. And the team had grown to a point where, and we're still small, we're a 15-person company, but we had actually outgrown the conference room, which was a good problem to have. And so it just wasn't serving our needs. And at the time I thought, okay, well, we'll just, probably either meet on site at the different centers, or, we can rent a space as we need it.
Mhm.
Um, so the idea was to get a new office space. And then, like I said, luckily we actually had cut out that expense pre-COVID,
Mhm.
which was a good thing. When, like other small businesses, we lost some work in March. So it was
Yeah.
nice to not have that additional expense.
Yeah, that can be a rather large expense depending on the size of your company. And are all of your 15 employees in the DC area, or are they spread around the country?
Yeah, they're not all in the DC area. We have a couple people working in different places, and then our development team for the artificial intelligence product that we have launched, they're actually in Spain. And my
Oh,
co-founder and co-owner of Navteca is from Spain, although
very,
he lives here.
very interesting. So, what do you think is the future of remote employment, and what do you think can be done differently to make it more effective?
I think remote employment is here to stay. I think COVID has really taught people that things can be done remotely that in the past they weren't willing or able to do, such as video conferences and face to face meetings. I think that the technology that we have available to us has really enabled that. I think that there's a lot of room for improvement. One of the challenges for remote work is keeping your team communicating well and also feeling like they have that person to person connection. Also, I think for some people, just helping them to enforce limits on their time and not feeling like they have to be available 24/7, especially if they're billable to a client, putting those boundaries in place. But yeah, I think remote work will definitely be with us, and there's some advantages to that too, such as environmental
Hmm.
advantages. I care a lot about climate change, and so I've been well aware for myself that having cut out business travel, that's a positive impact. And you multiply that by the thousands and tens of thousands of people who are not traveling right now for business purposes, and
Hmm.
overall that's
Yeah,
a positive silver lining, I guess.
probably millions. And I mean, I noticed the difference here in the Bay Area. I mean, we traffic here was horrible, and the air is a little bit cleaner, and you can get anywhere now. There's really, I shouldn't say no traffic in the Bay Area, but compared to a year ago, it's night and day. I assume the same in the DC area.
Yeah, DC, absolutely. Our traffic has improved and our air quality. I live on a condo, it's the top floor. It's been amazing,
Mhm.
all summer and into the fall, that the air quality has just been so noticeably better. I
Mm.
didn't even realize how bad it was until it has been better. And the science data is there, to prove that as well. It's
Mhm.
not just anecdotal.
Yeah. So we've talked a little bit about Navteca. You're into some really cutting edge technology. Can you explain, exactly what it is you do and who you do it for?
Sure. So right now, primarily, we're working with the federal government through subcontracts. We work with NASA, we work with NOAA. We do a lot of work with NASA at some of the different centers for cloud computing. So we do a lot of AWS, and we have niche expertise with high performance computing in the cloud. So really helping some of these science teams run big algorithms and climate models and such using the cloud. We also work with virtual and augmented reality, I had mentioned, and we've been working on this for a couple of years of really looking at the practical applications. So, trying to take gaming engine and entertainment technology and find that practical application for science. So, the earth is spherical. If we can look at data in a spherical environment, then we think there's some important correlations there. So, we've done some really cool visualizations around flooding and simulations of sea level rise. Right now, we're working on looking at seismic data, and we have a cool pilot project spinning up in Guatemala City. And so that's been really exciting. And then also with artificial intelligence, I mentioned, we have a product that uses natural language processing. It's called Voice Atlas. And actually, I think it might have some applications for remote work.
Hmm. Well, maybe we could talk about that later. That would be interesting since
Yeah.
pretty much all of our employees are remote, as are yours. So maybe there's some collaboration there. So it sounds like you started out as you had an office, and then you went to fully remote, and then everybody went to fully remote. So can you tell us some of the challenges you faced both, last July when you went to remote and in March when everybody went remote?
Sure. So definitely closing the physical office. The challenge, I think, was just kind of logistical. What do you do with all of the company's paperwork?
Mhm,
And, where do you store these things? What are you going to do with the laser printer? And,
mhm,
we have a lot of, virtual reality hardware. So just some of the logistics. In the end, the two founders, we've just ended up kind of dividing stuff up, and we each have some of it stored. Um, my condo is the company's official address.
mhm,
Luckily, it's on a busy commercial thoroughfare, so it's not
mhm,
too obvious. So I get the company mail here and such. That's been a challenge because my assistant, is somewhere else. So
mhm,
I miss having her being able to help me triage all of the different papers and such that come
mhm,
in. Um, so I guess that's been one challenge. I think also, again, just for our team, even though a lot of them were already working remotely, we generally were getting together at least once a month, and we'd get together for lunch or a happy hour.
mhm.
We'd have brown bags so people could talk about their different technology areas. So I think that's been a challenge. Some of the ways that we've been dealing with that is just having a virtual all hands meeting, trying to schedule it during lunchtime when people aren't as busy. We gave everybody, for example, we gave everybody a stipend towards improving their home office space.
Mm,
So we encourage them, if that's buying a more comfortable chair, or getting a ring light, or getting a better headset, microphone setup, whatever it is. I don't know, plants,
mhm.
something that will make your space feel more welcoming, more safe, more whatever it is to make your work environment better. And then in the last all hands, actually everybody kind of moved the camera and showed us what they had bought, and talked about it. So I think that was nice. And then for myself, I mentioned I'm actually working in a bedroom.
Mm,
I set everything up and I break it down every day, and I'm really diligent
mm,
about that because it's important to me to not feel like I'm constantly at work. Being an entrepreneur, you can literally work,
mhm.
as many hours as you can squeeze in. It would never be enough. So for myself, for my mental health, I find that it is helpful for me to literally put everything away, and not have the space look like an office outside of the work hours.
Yeah, no, I think it's the old question now is do you work from home or do you live at work? It sounds like you're balancing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even just forcing yourself to take breaks, go
Mhm,
outside and take a breath of fresh air. I have kids who are doing distance learning, so that's,
mm,
challenging. And actually, that's why I'm in this space, because I needed to seed some of the other spaces that were available to us,
mm,
so that they could be on their Zoom calls. And, but
yeah,
yeah, we have to meet up and decide what time is lunch going to be so that there's no noise outside of those hours. I think a lot of people are dealing with those sorts of
many
challenges.
many people are, yes. My youngest is 30, so I actually don't have that problem. So, so finally, there are companies like Gaper that help develop, build, and scale products, especially for startups. I mean, I'm assuming by the nature of your work, you need special security clearance and you need to be a US based company, correct?
Yeah, for the most part, we're not doing cleared work, but yes, absolutely. We hire mostly US citizens, and they absolutely need specialty expertise, in these technology areas.
Mhm. But do you see using services like this in the future to help your business grow?
Yeah, I think absolutely. And we've actually started doing that a lot more. It's really trying to outsource some of these things, and hire other companies who have the expertise who can really help us instead of trying to reinvent the wheel and do things in house. So I think that's very important. And for example, we're hiring for a couple of positions now, and it's kind of shocking to me how many people still are not coming prepared for a video interview.
Really?
Just, yeah, yeah,
Interesting. We at Gaper we did a webinar recently about that, about treating the how to do an interview, and the fact that because it's remote now, it doesn't make a difference. Still, you should dress up, look nice, be polite,
yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah, I
More
agree.
so
And even
now.
if you thought that it was a phone interview, I feel like you should still dress the part.
Mhm.
And like, actually, that's maybe another point about remote work is, I make sure every day that I look professional, that I look presentable,
Mhm.
maybe I'm not wearing heels and a full suit, but I
Mhm.
still feel like, I'm bringing my professional self, even if I'm not in a meeting, I'm just working on a proposal or something. But to me, that's important, psychologically. So it is a little surprising,
I
meeting some
agree.
of these new folks, and, they don't want to turn on the camera, and they say, oh, I didn't know it was going to be video. So,
Well, I agree with you because like it's still summer here, so I'm wearing polos, but in the winter I will actually wear my dress winter shirt. So it's from 9 to 5, basically. You're at work and you're a professional. Act like it.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I will say I've embraced the whole athleisure look of like jogging pants with a suit jacket. Um, but but I
Uh,
wouldn't be embarrassed to answer the door that way or so.
right. Yes, I know. I think I've done that too, to be honest with you. So, well, Shayna, this was really fascinating. I want to thank you for your time today. I wish Navteca all the luck in the world. You're working on some really cool stuff. And I really do look forward to our next podcast because that looks very peaceful.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the conversation and good luck with everything.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right, thanks.
Bye.